Hey everybody, this is Nathaniel Moore with selfconcept.com, and I have a member and a student, part of our community, Denny Mariscal. Hey Denny, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing really good. So I wanted to bring Denny here to chat for a little bit because she's had some really great and practical transformations that were uh, assisting her with certain changes that she wanted to make at work. And so, Denny, thanks for being here. Can you tell us a little bit about your story?
Yeah, sure. So I've been an entrepreneur for about 3 years, and at the beginning of my journey, I was very uh, driven into making my business grow. Like I had this huge vision of where I wanted to go.
Yeah.
And I noticed that it wasn't until I met this kind of work, like the
Mhm,
transformational work with like
mhm, mhm.
shifting yourself from the identity level is when
Yeah.
things really started to shift for me in my business.
Wow.
Before I was like doing all the things like marketing and all this stuff, and nothing seemed to work. It just seemed as though I was like doing like working really hard,
Yeah.
and there wasn't really any big shifts in my business. And what I realized later when I started to delve more into like this kind of work, and this kind of work I mean like more mind kind of, I don't even know what you want to call it. Maybe mindset is familiar for some people.
Sure.
I don't really like calling it mindset, but I'm just going to use that word.
Yeah.
When I noticed that it wasn't so much that I wasn't doing the things that I needed to do, is like I needed to change the being doing the doing.
Oh wow.
And what I mean by that is that until I realized that at my identity level, I had to be the kind of person
Hmm.
who created, who has these things to create these things, I needed to become that first. And that's why I wasn't getting the transformations in my business that I wanted.
Wow, what a great insight. And so what were some of the first changes that you made and what did you experience that was different?
Yeah, the first changes that I made, I focus on persistence. That was like one of the things that I changed, and one of the coaches in the group helped me transform that quality. And I realized that I was persistent, but I didn't really think that I was persistent until
Right.
I did the transformation, and I'm like, oh, I've been persistent this whole time. It was
Yeah.
like no brainer. Yeah.
So I just want to highlight for everybody what the experience that she's describing to us is that when you transform a quality, you're accessing resources from the past and you're bringing it towards the future. So there's a sense like it's always been there. And to some aspects, it has always been there. The resources, the possibility, and it's really about organizing it in a way that supports you, right? And anyways, it's really neat. So what happened after that first transformation?
Yeah, so that was like my first major one. And at the beginning, I will say that I was having a very challenging time with my first transformation, and I was getting really frustrated.
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh my God, is this like, why is this not working? Like, I'm not feeling anything different. And I almost actually gave up, to be quite honest. I was like, this is like not for me. This is not working. And one of the coaches actually reached out to me, and they offered if they could do a transformation, and it was the persistent one. And after that transformation, everything seemed to just take off. Like then I transformed playfulness, and at the beginning I didn't really notice a difference, right? And then
Yeah.
people were telling me, it's like, Denny, you're really playful. And I'm like, where is this coming from? And I had forgotten that I had transformed that like a couple weeks ago. And then I was like doing something at the house. Oh, that's why people are saying that I'm being playful, because I transformed that last like a couple weeks ago. I just like it just dawned on me. Like I wasn't purposely like thinking like, oh, I need to be playful in this moment, or I need to be persistent in this moment. It's just like it just comes out,
Yeah.
and people notice, and then you're like, yeah, I guess I am being that, you know?
Yeah. Oh, that's great. That's excellent. And then what?
So then after that, just kind of kept going. Keep going with the coaching calls. I'm really
Yeah.
consistent about showing up like 2 to 3 times a week, working with the
Nice.
coaches. I'm in the content
Wow.
and just doing and having like I have like a new buddy that we're practicing together. So the more it's almost as when I got my first transformation,
Yeah.
I got really excited and I wanted to get more transformations
Yeah.
because I noticed such a significant difference in the way that I just in even like not significantly in my business right away, but
Yeah.
just in my own being.
Yeah.
And then the last one I did last week is I transformed. I do a lot of follow ups and
Mhm.
sales calls and marketing, and I used to get a lot of anxiety like around that of like fear of rejection and like
Sure.
oh my god,
Sure.
just like all this stuff and that was stopping me from being consistent and doing the things that I needed to do to grow my business. So I joined one of the calls and we did the transformation of fear of rejection to calm, and it was great. So now I follow up with people, and there's no like, I don't feel that anxiety and that fear that I used to feel
Hmm.
before. And I posted in one of in the groups, and my experiences though was like I don't even remember what that feels like. Like I'm like fear of what? Like I like it doesn't produce it in my body anymore.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
It makes total sense. And
Yeah.
what do you think that that's going to do? Play that out over the next year or two. Like how does that change things, or even just the quality of life? I mean, if
Yeah, I mean, yeah, totally. I could already see it because it's happening now. Like I got a sales call because of my follow-ups, right, yesterday. And he wasn't an ideal client, but that doesn't matter. Like the fact that I'm actually taking action and
yeah,
not being stuck in fear of
yeah,
like, oh my God, they're gonna reject me. Like,
right,
I don't care, really, because there's like so many other people that I could actually help, and coming from that place of like being a person who's calm when I'm doing my follow-ups,
yeah,
it's going to help me grow my business because I'm taking this inspired action, right?
yeah,
And the fear of whatever rejection is not, it's not even, that's not going to stop me anymore from it.
right,
So just being consistent with that, and by me doing these transformations of like being persistent and being playful and being calm when I do, my entrepreneurial things that I need to do,
yeah.
it's just I could just imagine 6 months, 12 months from now, if I just keep on with the work and doing the things I have to do, I'm just not going to recognize myself like a year from now. I know already. Yeah.
That's really exciting to me. That's when the conversations are around transforming into the kind of person that naturally and instinctively creates the vision that you have. Those are the kinds of things. It's stories like that are great examples of that process of transforming into that person that just naturally, in one step at a time, getting the feedback and then taking the next step and making the next optimization or transformation into being that person. What would you say to somebody who has been either in the group for a little bit and hasn't quite got going yet, or maybe they're brand new to the work? What kind of advice would you give them?
Just coming from, when I first started last year, I was like, this stuff was really overwhelming. I didn't understand it. And I would watch the videos and I'm like, I don't get it. I don't get it. And the more that you are in the content, you show up to the coaching calls, you do the work little by little, especially when you do it on yourself and you have those significant shifts and transformation,
Yeah,
you get really excited because it really affects your life, like not only in business, in your personal life, just in your even my state of being is different. I feel
yeah,
a lot more joy, right? And I would just recommend to not give up, because I almost did. And I could only imagine if I did, I wouldn't be here talking to you right now.
yeah,
And just keep going. And when you have those roadblocks, reach out for help and support because the coaches are really awesome about that. I love this community is really cool with that. And once you get your first one, it's like, for some reason, it feels easier after that.
sure,
So I would just recommend that you just stay in the content, ask for support if you have a question. People are super helpful. The coach, not only the coaches, but people in the group.
Yeah.
And then once you get your first transformation, it's like, feels like smooth sailing.
Well, awesome. Well, thank you very much, Denny, and super grateful that you're part of the community. And I can't wait to hear about your next transformation.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.